Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies, good evening. I am RJ, of course, and I want to thank you for coming out tonight. I know this is a little bit different of time than my normal, excuse me. Um, Good, my audio is working. And okay, so tonight I wanted to spend some time looking at 110 Ben Hill Road in the Beech Creek community. uh, as well as go over some other information that has been kicked around um, with lack of a better phrasing on that, uh, to what has been going on and what has been being discussed, and get the record straight, because a lot of people are giving misinformation and twisting it to where they are gaining attention, or all the attention is on them. Carrie, hello. Lisa, hello. Thank you for coming out tonight or joining me tonight. I don't have necessarily a top five tonight. Um, it's not going to be, there has actually been not a lot of stories going on with involving missing persons. Had a story up a moment ago and I just all of a sudden lost it. So bear with me a second here. There was a missing person, an Amber Alert out of Louisiana yesterday, and it was for two children. Thankfully, the male uh, that was reported to have the kids was found quickly, and the male was also arrested. As soon as I can find that story, I will show you if I can find the story. It was actually very buried and difficult to find when I first found this. It may take me a few moments. Bear with me just a moment, folks. I appreciate your patience with me. Missing children found, suspect arrested. Mandeville, Louisiana, and forgive me if I've mispronounced that name. There is a 25-year-old Sergio Hernandez allegedly kidnapped two young girls during a domestic DV incident. And this is, officials are saying that both the girls were found safe and sound in Crystal Springs, Mississippi. And this was, they were taking around 4 p.m. on Monday. It is always a good thing to see the Amber Alert system used, and it is used efficiently. Children went missing at 4 o'clock yesterday, and at 7:35 this morning, the Louisiana State Police canceled that same Amber Alert for the kids. That is exactly why the Amber Alert system should be used anytime a kid goes missing or is suspiciously disappeared, or they have a vehicle, whether it's a custody issue or not. Track them down. It wasn't what is that, 17 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours, something like that. and they were able to get the kids back safely. So for once, I'm glad the Amber Alert system was used. It was used efficiently. It was used properly. Congratulations to Louisiana. My next story is going to be we're revisiting Lily Peters for a moment. A couple days ago, or within the past week, and I didn't touch on this before, the police department, Chippewa Falls, released the criminal complaint against her 14-year-old cousin. And in that criminal complaint, he in great detail went over what he did to his cousin. And when he had done so, and it was released, the full criminal complaint was released. What stood out to me was the what not so much the horrific act of the SA and the fact that he had the premeditation of causing her demise, but instead it was not it was that when he found out that the police were searching, that she had been reported missing, that he went back to the same scene, to the same spot, and he drug her deeper into the woods and covered her up with leaves to hide her. A 14-year-old had the thought of doing that. And I'm stunned by that. You know, we do you hear about a lot of horrendous things when you sit there and you look at crime reports and all the you look at criminal complaints and you expect to hear horrifying things. And I'm not going to sit here and blame anybody watching um let's say a criminal show, or I'm not going to blame, TV. I'm not going to blame a kid playing video games, because this is way advanced thought and planning than a child should have. Way advanced. That no 14-year-old should have the thought of, oh, they're searching for her, so I need to go hide her better than when I left her. So it deepens my question, and hopefully, hopefully I'm wrong about this. That this is going to land up just being a situation where it disappears quickly, because a plea deal is going to be had. I hope it lands up. I hate to say this, I really do. I really do hate to say this, because I don't want to see her parents go through this. But I hope they make him recount in court, not just in the criminal document. And they have statements by psychologists that are going to that are about the manner of the family, the home condition, and where he would have gotten the connotation, what he would have gotten his head wrapped around the idea of this is what he needed to do. It reminds me of that other boy. I can't remember his name because this just came to me. Where he took a girl for a walk into the woods, and he she met her demise in the woods, and he went home after stabbing her. I don't remember how many times, huge amount of times. Had to spend a lot of time with her. It was very personal, very intimate. And I'm not talking about a physical act intimate, but just what he did, how many times he stabbed her. And then he goes home and he basically just throws his clothes full of this girl's blood into the laundry room, and his mom washes them the next day and pretends that she doesn't know what's that the substance that was on his clothes. I don't. I guess I'm not supposed to. I'm not meant to wrap my head around the idea that of what the family concept is. That this behavior is absolutely acceptable. But because the both of these, the other individual and this one, they were both minors. So I hope that they, in when they do either plea deal or have an actual trial. Again, I don't want them to have a trial because I don't want the parents to have to relive that. I hope they have psychology reports they release, and that not only takes a look at mental image, the mental state of the child, but the home unit itself. Because if this is a new trend that's happening, then police departments and the federal, no matter what level you are, state, local, federal, they need to find out what the catalyst is, why this is happening, so they can help fix it in their community and serve the community correctly. You're right, Lisa. You are right. He does need all the legal help that the courts can give him. I can only imagine that what the 14-year-old cousin did to Lily. That at some level he had to feel guilty, and why when they on the criminal complaint it's so detailed. If you want to hear about or see where the criminal report, I believe it was Michelle After Dark had actually done a not so much read the criminal complaint on her show or on when it came out, but she did review it. I'll put it that way, and showed the criminal complaint. So I'm not going to try to find that. I'm not going to. I'm just going to say, hey, look, Michelle After Dark has it on there. In one of her broadcasts, she did. The next story I found, or I'm going to talk about, I'm going to touch on this a little bit because I've been teasing that or saying that I am going to be doing a story on Evelyn Boswell soon, and this isn't the story I'm going to do. That little girl deserves. Lisa, I didn't want to know either, to be honest, but it intrigued me that he had that they released the criminal complaint. I didn't want to know all the details. I just wanted to hear a summary of it, which I believe is what Michelle After Dark did. But Carrie, do you remember the? I'll go back to Evelyn Boswell in a moment, but do you remember the other story I was referring to with the two teenagers where he tricked her into going into the woods with him, or he tricked her into going to the woods with him. It was after dark. It was about midnight-ish. Do you remember her name? Again, I don't like to focus on the suspects. I like to focus on the victims. Hello, my dog. How are you? Thank you for joining us tonight. And if I have anybody else lurking that I didn't see you already, thank you for joining us. Hello, hello to everybody. We all know that Phoenix sometimes will lurk. Yes, that's the name I was referring to as the other story. It's Tristan Bailey. That is the one where, thank you very much, my dog. I appreciate that every time. I really do. I know that not everybody can watch when I'm live. Other commitments, family, and whatnot. And I understand that some people can only watch on replay. Before I do go forward, since I'm just thinking about this now, Carrie is going to be happy, and when cosplay gets here, because she said she's going to be here, they will both be very happy to hear me say, please hit that like button, subscribe, and that notification bell. That way, you know when I'm going to be putting something out on YouTube, it will alert you. I appreciate it if you aren't already subscribed. So Tristan Bailey is the young girl that I was speaking of. Yes, I remembered Carrie. So that is another absolutely sad, horrible story that parallels what happened with Lily Peters. And I'll go ahead and say this right now. The amount of information that has come out on that, if you don't like reading about what happened with Lily Peters or don't like the story, not to say that anybody truly likes the story, but it just brings your whole continents down it just disturbs you. You probably do not want to read into Tristan. Just a heads up on that one. So, well, I started mentioning before I got back onto that the previous story here is that I'm going to do a full night, one night. There's been a lot of stuff going on that has prevented me from doing so at the moment, but at the same time, there's not been any new news when it comes to Evelyn Boswell, the 15-month-old little girl from Bluntville. They are actually preparing for trial right now. They're in pre-trial procedural issues, items. Um, I believe it's over 1,500 different documents, pictures that the judge is having to go through to whether or not that they're going to be admissible into court. The next court date is actually June 24th for Evelyn Boswell's mom. And um, it's a really sad story of what happened. Um, so when I do that, it will be a trigger warning show that night. Just let everybody know ahead of time. I will make sure everybody knows right up front that that is going to be a trigger warning story. Okay, so there was one other story I wanted to talk about and touch on tonight. I don't know how anybody hasn't heard this unless they are Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants and living under a rock. But uh, we're talking about Casey White and Vicky White. If you had not heard, they were captured yesterday in Evansville, Indiana. Vicky White apparently, when the police had stopped the vehicle by crashing it and making it roll into a ditch, the Vicky White had I'm just going to say gave herself a GSW, and she succumbed to the injuries. Unfortunately, we're not going to know, and I wish it didn't end this way. My intuitive mind, and I'm sure if anybody else had, it probably had many others had the same impression that it was never going to end well for her. This whole situation was never going to end well for her. At the best, it was, she was going to have to do jail time for what she did. But I never had the impression that she was going to be coming out of this alive. And I wasn't the only one that I speak to that had that impression. So I know there's many others that also had that same impression. I had said they headed west, and I was not entirely wrong. I wasn't right though either. It was more north that they headed, but it was still west of where they were searching and saying they were headed to. I actually expected, but the amount of time that they had to where they were going to escape or could escape, my gut instinct on this was that they fled to Mexico. And with the amount of time that we found out since then that she has actually been planning this for a couple years now. That came out today that she had actually been planning this for a couple years. She could have secured, and it makes sense that, and I'm not trying to in any way, shape, or form validate what I had thought, but it would make sense though that if they had gone to Mexico, that she would have been able to secure false IDs at that time or by then. Yes. What caught her, landed up getting them caught, if you had not heard, was a security system at a power wash station is what I would call it. It was set up there where you could drive your vehicle in, power wash your vehicle, and drive on out. That's what it was intended to be. But the owner or operator of that facility had seen this one vehicle there consistently and had been watching it on the on the security surveillance system. Y- and reported to the police. Now, the reason I'm really mentioning this, and at least I'm going to ask you, have a, I'm going to say something about this in just a moment. Um, the reason I'm mentioning this story is, and I'm not blaming the Evansville Police Department for the end result of what happened. If you had seen the press conference that they held today about this, the Evansville Police Department tried to fabricate in front of the press a story about them that they didn't know anything about the manhunt. They didn't know who they were, and that they were had a that suspicious vehicle, the Cadillac, under surveillance since the second of this month. When the owner operator, um, I'm sorry, it was the truck, not the Cadillac. The truck had been under. They're saying that they had the truck under surveillance, and I was actually on another channel watching this today when it happened, and it was. I'm not going to say the channel's name because I don't want to give the wrong channel. I believe it was Brooks, though. She had, and I had the same opinion about this, that the police were trying to cover their tails by claiming they had it on under surveillance before the owner operator had called them, reported it missing, or reported it that it was there, and that they came out and told him on the third, since there was no, uh, it was on him to have it towed away. To go back to Lisa's comment, and then Carrie, I'll get your comment in a moment. Um, there's been actually very little said about her family in the news. The only thing I've really noticed is that the mentioning of her mom, who's still alive, and that since she sold her house, she was living with her mom for about the past 5-6 weeks prior to this happening. And when I say she sold her house, selling this house, a house that was probably worth about 300,000, close to 300,000 in Alabama market for $90,000. I'm going to take a moment here and plug my Discord, because a lot of conversations do happen in Discord. Um, and I had said in Discord At least I could be wrong. I really could be wrong, but I did not find anything mentioned about her having a family other than her mom. I had said in my Discord, and yes, I'm plugging my Discord, that before it was reported that she had or when it was reported they had captured her and that she had suffered a GSW. I said that they actually wanted to go out like Bonnie and Clyde. Their plan was I said this before it was released in the news that they wanted to go out like Bonnie and Clyde, have a massive shootout with the police. They did not intend on either one of them going to jail. But because the marshals had or law enforcement had crashed the vehicle the way they did, it prevented that from happening. There you go, Lisa. She did have a husband and a child. Their plan, I had believed before, and Carrie will back me, I'm sure, because I said this to her, that they had wanted to go out just like Bonnie and Clyde. And within a short time after them announcing that she had her fate was her had met her fate, her demise, they actually said that they had recovered a lot of weapons in the vehicle. And in the press conference today, that's one thing. That's one thing that they actually said that they said or showed a picture of. They had a wide assortment array of weapons, and they were ready for a shootout with the police. They had a wide assortment of weapons in the vehicles, and were ready for a shootout with the police. Forgive me, I just need to get a drink of some lemonade. It's a great time of year for start getting lemonade and whatnot. Probably my second favorite drink of all liquids to drink. So, like I said, I really didn't have a top five tonight. It really was only four tonight. So sometimes it happens. I'm not sorry that it happened because that means there's no like urgent missing child that I could find. I'm not saying there's no missing children in the country because my goodness knows that is always a reality. Just none are like brand new within the past couple days. And I don't think this is going to be a long night. I just wanted to um, go over some news stories that I recently found and touched me a little bit. Tonight, though, is going to be focused on Beech Creek and areas surrounding Beech Creek that are noteworthy to what happened with Summer Wells. This, if you don't know, is the property of 110 Ben Hill Road where Summer Wells had lived. You're going to see Beech Creek not meet the word Beech Creek not match up with the road. This is a little creek. When I say it was ankle deep and most of the time of the year it was mud. It really was. Unless it rained, it was just really a muddy ditch. Or is just really a muddy ditch. Unfortunately, Google Earth, this area, it really does not give you opportunity to give any 3D perspective. But this property is a good 50 to 75 feet above the level of the road. Down here, this is Beech Creek right here that I'm moving my mouse along if you follow it. That's Beech Creek, and this is Ben Hill Road towards the right here. And the way to get onto that property is actually what most people would consider the back side of the property. It's back over here where this driveway comes down and meets Ben Hill Road. I'm sure everybody is very familiar with that address, has seen many pictures of it. But I wanted to give some time of looking around the area. Some things that people may not have paid attention to. Like this cemetery right here. Directly across from Ben Hill Road, where it joins Beech Creek Road, is a cemetery. A lot of people in the very early stages were like, oh, it would be so easy for them to bury her in that cemetery. And that's not true, because the cemetery is actually quite old. And any sort of new development or new area being dug up would be very, very noticeable. A lot of farmland. And follow down Beech Creek Road here. Two properties that are going to be noteworthy to remember during this. First one is off here to the west. As soon as I find it. This is the church and parking lot and area in which and it is a church cemetery as well here. But this is the parking lot in which the police and searchers were actually locating out of and then going up into the woods. Going back to Ben Hill Road. It's going to fly over automatically here. Just going to let it spin around a little bit and take a look around just for a moment. There is a reason for this. Ben Hill Road, you follow it up, and back over here as it goes past the Wells property, and it makes this hook. I don't know if you guys can see it that well, but it makes a hook to the right here. If you kept going up Ben Hill Road and didn't turn, you're actually landing up in somebody's property. It's a farmland area. So you actually have to make this turn right here. It's just a simple split in the road. And on the backside of the property, this is where you start to find out stories about some of the families, the Sherpy family. And I'm not saying this is their property that I'm showing, but they live back here and back and over here, going back to Ben Hill Road. I forget this family's name that lives right here on the corner of Ben Hill and Beech Creek. Um, there's this is, I believe, all of his property. And then back over here, you know all the comments I make about Jody Sue, JS, not possibly being able to hear or know what was going on up here at 110. If I were to type her address in of 125, it's putting you right here. There's a good football field from her house, from her front yard, from her porch, up a 50 to 75-foot incline to reach where Summer Wells was from. Carrie, you're probably right. I don't ever remember hearing who lives on that corner. The important thing to note, and I don't, Carrie will be able to tell you, I don't remember the street name back here behind the Wells property. Is that I believe it is this general area. I could be wrong. It's either on, I believe it's actually this area, to be honest. Back here by these trailers is where a footprint of Summer Wells has supposedly been found. There is a guy that lives back here that is suspected of SA involving a minor. That's yeah. If Carrie pops up a name or something like that of a street, if I don't remember them, please accept that she's telling you the right information because I know she is. But there's a lot more to go over in this map. We're just not looking at this little area yet. There's more to go over. And I'll be honest that the part of the reason I know this map so well is when I very first went on with John Q. Carlock. Him and I sat there and we spent, I want to say, a good 45 minutes or so just going over another street I'm going to show you in just a moment, which actually is an infamous street in this story because it's the street that Don Wells had took his truck up and around the Chimney Top Loop. And I'm going to bring that around in just a moment and show you how important that actually is. Living in the Tri-Cities area, some of the outlier communities all have hollers, and they're all connected. And this isn't just up here in Hawkins County. This is outside of Johnson City. This is outside of Bristol. This is outside of Rogersville, where you have families that they years upon generation upon generations ago bought a large lot of land, a large area of land, claimed the large area of land for the sole purpose of them having for generations having a place to call them their home. And over time, some of the land has gotten parceled up with, different family members, and sometimes some of it's having been sold off and things like that for various reasons. But there's one thing that's been consistently about these hollers. See this right here? Let's take a look at this right here. This was at one time a named road. No longer used, no longer maintained, and it goes and just disappears off in the woods. Or does it? Yes, I've lost it on purpose. Because coming through the woods, all this area, all the way over and into the next holler, it's all connected by trails that go through this wooded area. And it doesn't lead just back to Beech Creek Road. Beech Creek Road. Doesn't just lead out back out to Beech Creek Road. Maybe through somebody's driveway. Or all of a sudden it's just a dirt bike path back to the road. But this also actually leads through, like I said, it connects all the hollers back over here. And forgive me for a second, I'm scrolling out on this for a reason. Just to move quicker through the map here. But if you look, there's ways, there's trails you can see that go over the mountaintop. And as we get on the other side, there's Lick Creek Road. And if I can remember where it is exactly, there's another little area of people moved to, bought property in. There's Horse Hollow. And forgive me, I'm not finding it, but I will find it in just a moment here. Uh, on the backside of the mountain, just over the ridge from where they lived. Chimney Top Loop. Now, again, like I said, these are all connected. You have a trail going up Chimney Top Loop. And this actually trail does actually just this is just an example. It actually dead ends up in the mountains. This one because of a rock slide, but you can see where it is. It goes up, meanders around where there's no trees growing because it's been actually walked so often. But this Lick Creek Road, okay, this loops on around the Chimney Top Loop road here. The reason I'm mentioning this one particular road is that in the woods, I'm going to switch it around. So give me a second here. It's going to flip around. So I'm point it north. This loops around loops around back to Lick Creek. Okay, it starts on Lick Creek and loops back around to Lick Creek, and it's a beautiful area to go driving in. To be honest, this back area between the mountains and 81 is you're up against 81 over back here. 81 we're just down to the south off the map. But one of the key things about this area is up here on the ridge. And I believe if I can find where I am on this map again, forgive me. Okay, that's going off to Bays Mountain over there. We're going to stay with Chimney Top Loop. Up along this ridge line for these mountains, there was a campsite. And I don't remember exactly where it is off the top of my head. That when I had first found out about this, my mind went to say that this was somebody's place where they were camping out and they were baiting and trying to trap animals. Because it was a remote location and you had to get there by either foot, horse, or dirt bike, the police were unaware that it was going on, that campsite was there and going on. It's quite even possibly how I refer to the Wells property as being a horse farm, meaning that it's a known area for trafficking. It's just a quick stop and go type of deal. That this could have actually been also used for that. Unfortunately, they never found any evidence or anything when the police actually did get told about it and investigated it. But a broken down tent and an area that had obviously been used by somebody camping out there. But it's just one of the many possibilities that somebody could have been hiding. If you do believe in the story of abduction happened. Now I'm going to go back to go back to 110 Ben Hill Road here, so you can get a little bit of better feel of where we were looking and where Summer Wells was from. I said there was another point of location that was along Beech Creek Road that was important to Summer Wells' story. And that's actually at this east end. That's this church right here. No, this is not, neither one of these locations is the church that Summer Wells had gone to, where she was hugging on Robin and running around. But this is the church that they had the press conferences at. where it's high up on a hill and they had that overlooked. They were actually looking down Beech Creek Road back towards where they were searching. Hello, cosplay. I promise you, you really did not miss a whole lot. I know you had told me you were going to be late. You didn't miss a whole lot. I promise. So while Google Earth, Google Maps does not show the true condition of this property at all. Still to this day, it's not in condition that you would actually expect for anybody to live on. It's now it's going to be very soon being declared an abandoned property. Nobody's there any longer with Don Wells being in jail. Candace and Candy have both left and have not returned. Just today, Hawkins County Animal Shelter has announced that they have arranged for all of the animals that are associated with this property to be captured, for them to be spayed or neutered and to be rehomed. So that is a huge step in a great direction, but at the same time, it's rather ominous that nobody is going to be returning to this property. Candace does not want anybody on this property whatsoever. And if you pay attention to some of the drama channels that are associated with the Summer Wells story, last night you had a perfect example of what happened. And some of that drama is actually continuing over to today. I had caught wind of what was going on, and I was listening to my police scanner last night. And there was 2 vehicle descriptions that went out at the same time. One was a green Saturn. The other one was a black Honda. And they both went to 2 different counties. They just happened to be broadcast at the same time. And there was a lot of confusion over to what vehicles was related to a potential shoplifting issue at the Walmart. Because both of them were ironically there at the Walmart. Just got reported to 2 different counties. Nonetheless, the one vehicle, when they got to Ben Hill Road with dog and cat food last night, were met by a police officer who told them, do not return. And this is exactly why I refuse to have anything to do with anybody that is from Ben Hill Road area. The games are so thick coming out of that area that no matter who you talk to from that area right now, you can't believe a single word any of them are saying. Carrie, yes, I'm intentionally not mentioning one particular person. Well, about 4 or 5 different persons' names. But Carrie knows exactly who we're talking about. And if you watch YouTube, anything related to Summer Wells or the people that try to be related to Summer Wells today, because none of what came out today, none of it, even though if they try to label it, none of it was about Summer Wells today. As far as I'm aware, I'm the first one today that are doing anything about Summer Wells. Unless I've missed one or two along the way. They were nothing but drama and distraction. I'm the first one today that's done anything about talking about, really seriously talking about Summer Wells. Have we gotten to that point, though, where Summer Wells isn't worth talking to anymore? Or even worth talking about anymore? I mean, I get it. And forgive me, I'm a little soapbox moment type of deal. I get it. I saw this before. I don't know if I saw this before anybody else, and I just didn't say anything. But Candace Bly, and when Don Wells was on the property, they didn't want any help from anybody unless their attention was going to be purely focused on what they are doing. Not what the investigation is about. Not what needs to be done next to help find Summer. If you look at some of their actions, they never wanted the attention to being on Summer. Cosplay, please drive safe. I'm thankful you're here, but please drive safe. Mud Dog, yes, it's almost been a year. In another 5 days, it will be 11 months. They simply do not want anybody's help finding Summer. They don't want anybody searching for Summer. I believe it goes back to when the Dennis Rader, his organization, where they were out there searching in the woods. On the first trip out here, where they were searching this wooded area and this wooded area up behind where they lived. And when I say I'm circling this area, I mean it goes on and on and on down Beech Creek Road. They said there was areas, and it's 100%. They are 100% correct. And I can't say this enough times that they're 100% correct. You could go through these wooded areas with 1,000 persons, shoulder to shoulder, marching step by step, and not cover enough area to say you actually searched. That's how dense the trees are, the grass is, the conditions of the mountains going up into the terrain. Oh, you're not driving, you're riding? Well, okay, that's good. Lisa, I agree. But at the same time, some of these people that live in these hollers, and I'm not saying every single one of them is of a predatory status that they have to be on a state registry. Okay. Although there are some that are out here, out in this area, it's the perfect place for them. And I'm not trying to be discriminatory. I'm not trying to be segregative, or whatever the segregatory would be the correct word, I guess. But the amount of people that live out here and have a family or have kids or have, be near this property being near a school. Yes, it's near churches. So there is some limitation, I believe, within that alone. But it's an area which there's people that are, and the people that just don't like because of maybe anxiety issues, or, don't, they're claustrophobic if they're around too many people or whatnot. This is a great area for them to live. It almost reminds me of, there's down in Florida, and I forget what town it is. There is a trailer park that somebody put up. It's in a area that is the correct distance from any schools or anything that a person that's on that predatory list is not going to violate any sort of terms of probation. Yes, Gary, that's another way of saying that these people that live out there are set in their ways as well. Exactly. But there's a community. What I'm saying is, there's a mobile home in Florida. It's the appropriate distance from all these other, items that they can't live near. And yes, I'm just zooming around the map a little bit, because if I remember correctly, there's actually another holler. There it is, Lake Hollow. Was right down the road from Beech Creek, from where the wells were. Funny little rumor about that, but holler right there. But where they can actually live and be able to follow the terms of their probation, and not violate the probation. And for the police, it's actually really easy, because they know if a family has a child, or a person live there has a child, and that they're safe to have that child be there. But at the same time, they know if there's any children that are there, they know exactly what child does and doesn't belong there. So if they see a child that does not belong, they know there's a problem. It's kind of like that. An odd parallel. I know, but it's still, the point being, it's neutral ground for somebody that it reaches that predatory status. Now, I mentioned this light hollow down here. If you look at the top of the hollow, it gets steep real quick. But follow this ridge line, follow this down. You find dirt trails, paths that go in around this mountain area, and it will actually take you all the way back and connect to cutting down through this property here. It connects you almost all the way down to the other end of Beech Creek Road, past 110 Ben Hill Road. Again, I personally don't believe, that there was an abduction. I believe that all the answers of what happened on June 15th begin and end right with the persons that lived on this property, 110 Ben Hill Road. I made a previous statement of Don Wells was known for taking 2-hour lunches some days and coming back to Ben Hill Road. I recently got reminded of something that happened that day. While the everybody was all the way out here in Kingsport, 81, where they were all out here in Kingsport. Where is it? Well, anyway, they're in Kingsport for the day, running errands, and there we go. I went the wrong way, I think. Up here in Kingsport, in this area of Kingsport, there's Wholesome Valley Medical Center, merry-go-round, the carousel park, and there's a food city there, and more buildings belonging to Domtar and I'm drawing Eastman. Domtar is part of Eastman, and since if you're not from around here, they're in this area generally. Not going into details of where they are for the day, that they get a phone call. They being Candace, potentially Grandma, Summer, and at this point they would have had a hunter with them, and it was from Don Wells saying that there was somebody sneaking around the property trying to touch the kids. Every story other than this says that Don Wells was at work all day. He didn't leave for lunch that day. He worked all day. But this one story from Don Wells, a phone call from Don Wells, puts him back on Ben Hill Road. How else would he have known that there was somebody creeping around that property trying to touch the kids? Carrie, I believe you're right. I don't either. That's why I say this story begins and ends with those who live on Ben Hill Road. This is just one of those little details that get kicked around and overlooked so easily that For him to have called on June 15th and say that guy that's been trying to touch the kids is creeping around on the property again, that says you weren't at work. You killed your so-called 7 alibis and put yourself on that property. Now, when he was on that property and an exact time frame, I don't know. Nobody's ever said that that phone call has happened. And even H, when he goes around staying with snooping around in Candace's phone and finds that text message saying it's done. Nobody ever gives or mentions a timestamp on any of this. The way that Hunter has described the way he had found it, from my understanding, it was on some sort of Apple iPod, not an iPod, sorry, an iPhone of some type. When you delete from Android, you delete. When you delete from iPhone, it holds it for 30 days and then deletes it. "110 Ben Hill Road and the adults that lived on that property." Regardless of what Ronnie Lawson says, that everyone's a suspect and that there is no person of interest at the same time. Whether or not you believe a certain woman that lived on Ben Hill Road that's been on YouTube a lot or not, it's 110 Ben Hill Road. All the answers lie at 110 Ben Hill Road with the adults that live there, with the amount of people that trafficked that area. And I'm not saying, again, I do not believe that Summer Wells was abducted or trafficked. I believe there was an element of SA going on, but I don't believe that it was a thing that would have caused her to be kidnapped or abducted. The one impression I get when I sit here and I look at this map and I look at this property, just as much as I alluded to the spirit box session and the results that we went over, I said that little girl knows what happened, and the right questions are just not being asked as of yet. I'm a big time believer that nature also will tell. That nature will also tell a story. And just as if just the saying that if these walls could talk, if this property could talk, Thank you very much. Um, yes, I did sneeze. I apologize. This property has a lot to say, not only about what happened to Summer, what happened to the boys, what happened between Candace and Don, but all the answers lie within this circle that I'm drawing or making my mouse draw. All the answers of what happened to Summer are right here on that June 15th. That is my personal opinion about it. And I wanted to do, since I know a lot of people are not really familiar with the map, the area around not Boone's Creek. Oh my goodness, Beech Creek, the Beech Creek community, and how it is so easy to get. You don't even have to drive if you followed the way that Don Wells had drove when he went and drove around to Chimney Top Loop. He had to go around this mountain area here and back down uh, along 81 Lick Creek down here to where it is. There's another important thing about Chimney Top Loop that I didn't that I kind of left off, and that is up here. As soon as I find it again, see, you have to zoom in on it to find it because it's not marked on the map. Back up in here, I'm saying the trails, and saying all these different ways. See, like I said, it's not marked. You really have to search for it to find it. It's not wanting to search back around, twist back around. The back here at the top of this loop, up here in the mountains, it's another important thing about the Chimney Top Loop area, is an old school that nobody uses any longer. And I believe it is somewhere around here. It's not taken care of any longer. It's not, the building is still there, but it's one of those details where you actually have to sit there and search for it. Cosplay, I don't do all the drama and stuff, and when we take a look at stuff, but I thank you first very much for that compliment. At least I take it as a compliment. We're going to take a look at things. We're going to do so in a manner that's respectful and honoring Summer or any other of our the victims, always. And hooping and hollering and getting all worked up is not doing any good to them. But up here along this ridge line, behind Chimney Top Loop, and I apologize that I cannot find it, is an old school building that used to be used. I believe it was about up to about 30, maybe 40 years ago. That's still there. That really is the most important thing, other than the trails coming back over the ridge, lead onto this road and area, the Chimney Top Loop. And up here, if you didn't notice before, up off of Lick Creek, is a way to get onto 81. You get on 81. Again, if you believe in an abduction story, by the time police start to form their searches and start forming their searches, if you believe the latest rumor of when Summer went missing, and yes, I'm using that term rumor very loosely on this, with a dirt bike or a horse or some sort of way of getting over that ridge, by the time the police formed a search, somebody could have been on 81 that way to Virginia, that way towards Knoxville. Ladies, I felt like going over the map was important tonight. A lot of junk rumors came out recently. I would say within the past 2 days, that I felt like going over the map, taking a look at it, and taking a look around the the Beech Creek area, around the Ben Hill Road properties. And yes, I'm not zooming in on anything but 110, but I'm telling you that, you know, the roughly where the other areas are. And then taking a look on the backside where that Chimney Top Loop is, and showing that these hollers all connect. If other people were to sit there and take a look at this, like I did with John Q. Carlock, when I very first went on their show, and I know they were testing me to find out how much I know about the area. But being able to sit there and say that that sorry, I just got an alert on breaking news. I'm taking a look to see if it's anything important or relevant. And it's not. But I believe that every answer related to Summer Wells is right here. Like I said, there's a lot of rumors that got kicked around this past couple days, and I really felt that with the rumors that I heard, that it was time to take a deep dive into the map with you guys, because I believe that these rumors all get squashed by understanding Beech Creek community. If anybody wants to jump up on panel, let me know. I'll drop a link for you guys. Welcome to have anybody up. That is what I plan to speak about tonight, and want to leave it open for any questions or any comments you guys want to have. Have a little free discussion about Summer Wells or any of the other, a missing kid story that you've heard of. Just none of the drama, because like I said, I don't deal with the drama. I will not deal with the drama because it's not achieving anything as far as being about Summer Wells. Just giving anybody a couple moments here to type. I'm not the quickest typer in the world, so I want to give anybody a chance. It's okay, cosplay. I got it. Don't worry. You're good. I think my dog's trying to call you out there. See if you're going to join. But don't get me wrong. What happened to Summer Wells and that fact that I believe it all happened, all the answers lie within that 110 Ben Hill Road property, is an absolute tragedy, and it's an absolute beautiful area. My dog, I saw that. I'm joking around with her. It's an absolutely beautiful area. Um, I'm not the most outdoorsy type of person, but it no matter how I could describe it, Beech Creek Road, that's a secondary road. It's a road you're taking to catch another road. It's a pass through road. Ben Hill Road. It's not a road that you would want to be on. You find that road by accident. It's the road that you're taking because the police are redirecting your turning around because of an accident, and you can't get through on Beech Creek Road. It's that kind of property or that kind of road, that kind of area. But it's beautiful back there. A lot of people want to say, what is wrong with the Tri-Cities area where all this is happening? When the truth is that these things happen, but right now they're more magnified because of Summer Wells. The focus on this area is stronger because of all the national attention that Summer Wells had gotten, and deservedly so. I'm going to be clear about that. She deserved to have a national story, but at the same time, it just this area is being scrutinized so much heavier because of Summer Wells that anytime something happens, it's automatically getting major attention, whether it be here on YouTube or as it's getting if not so much national attention, but regional attention more so than others. And I'm pausing because I'm spinning here. If you guys are still hearing me, my signal strength is coming back. There we go. So there was a story, regional story, about a woman, and I'm not going to draw any major attention to her, that her arrest probably would not have made any sort of news, except that she's been rearrested for the same thing that she did about 3 to 4 years ago when she lived between Kingsport and Bristol. And her arrest was documented on a TV show similar to Cops or whatever that other show that A&E had done for a while. Thank you, Mud Dog. I figured that Phoenix was lurking most of the time. But this woman, it was very familiar with the police. And she was arrested for the same things that I remember her being arrested for around 3 or 4 years ago. She just moved to a different area. And that ordinarily would not have been on the news. But any time anything more than a car accident happens, unless it's like on the highway or it's a major accident on a local road, things like that are landing up on the news that they had not done so before. Well, I'm not going to keep everybody all night, and uh, if nobody has any questions or comments about Summer Wells, I'm going to wrap it up. I think. Cosplay with the faces, I see. But yes, Phoenix, to Phoenix, we do send our love and thank you very much for lurking. Yeah, and even though you're busy, but with that being said, I send my love to everybody tonight, and I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. Carrie knows it. I'm winding down, and cosplay. If you didn't hear earlier, I remembered, and I'll repeat it again. If you do are on the replay crew and you do like what I've gone over tonight, please hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and hit that notification bell. That way, when I do go live, you can catch me live. But this is the kind of stuff I like to do. We get real in depth like this and take a look at a map and learn the map. And that's why I spent so much time on the map with Michael Vaughn from Fruitland, Idaho, as well. But with that, I want to say, wish everybody a good night. Thank you for coming and listening to me. Good night, and I'm out.